discounted price the ticket. And today's session will the AI unboxed from the ChatGPT to intelligent machines. Today is the speakers the Akanksha. So Akanksha is a senior software engineer at Samsung with a strong background in artificial intelligence and machine learning and generative AI. Throughout her career, she is work on the building intelligent solution using modern AI technology, helping bridge to gap between the research and real world applications. Her expertise Python, large language models, generative AI, machine learning, and data analysis with Panda. She is also previously worked with the SCL Tech and bringing valuable industry experience from the working on enterprise scale solution. Today, she will be sharing the insight into the rapidly evolving world of AI and intelligence system, making this great opportunity for all of us learning from her experience. So, warm welcome to the Akanksha. Hi, Akanksha.
Yes, sir. Hello. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. I hope I am audible.
Yes, audible.
Okay, so thanks for this opportunity. Let me share my screen.
Yes.
So I hope my slide is visible.
Yes, visible.
Okay. So welcome all in this session of AI Unboxed from ChatGPT to intelligent machines, like how it all evolved. In this session, I mainly try to explain all the buzzwords which we are listening every day and how they are useful in integrating AI with the existing solution or building the AI solution itself, like chatbot or agents, multi-agents, how these terms are important in building those AI agents. So therefore, we start from that part only. I would try to cover all those buzzwords and a little bit the history of AI also, like how it started from 2015 till now and how it is going forward in the future also. Whatever questions you all have, I can cover in the ending of this session. And in the end of the this session, I would show the practical one practical one practical session also based on the teachable machine, like how we can build our AI models ourselves and we can integrate those in our AI, I should say, like any kind of applications. So yeah, let's start for the today's session. Thank you for attending. The slide is not changed. Yeah, so I have already explained the agenda. It would start with the story of OpenAI, like how it came into existence and how it evolved over the period of time, how AI, ML, and deep learning are different, how AI actually works, and the embedding stacks, AI agents, everything. Means I would try to cover all those buzzwords which are we are familiar with now and then, but we don't know exact working of those and how they are useful while building the AI agents, multi-agents, and everything. So yeah. So let's start with the OpenAI story. So of course, the AI is not any new word. It is existing back from 1955 only, when the word was coined. But it came in so much hype just after the GPT explosion. Means before ChatGPT also AI was always there. Researches were going on. There were PhD courses and lot of things. But still AI was not in the forefront. Still till the ChatGPT came into existence. And of course, the OpenAI is the company who created this amazing product. We can say that is the ChatGPT. So OpenAI firstly was a non-profit organization. Means it was just designed for regulating the artificial general intelligence work. In 2015, it was founded as a NGO. But after when they start working, then the model training requires a good amount of infrastructure. It requires the data centers. Means you can't train just the model by just for the sake of just a small data set. We need a large amount of data set, and for training of those data sets, a good amount of GPU was required and data centers was required. So for speaking of with all those infrastructure costs, it can't be a like with the non-governments, it can't be a non-profitable organization. It has to be the profitability should be there. And for profitability, of course, the investors are required, means there should be investors. And once the investors comes in the big picture, then they always try to get the profit. So from that time, a lot of controversy also happens, and then the OpenAI converted into a enterprise level of organization, and investors invested in that, and data centers were built, and GPUs were set up, and then the story of AI starts, which we are seeing today. With ChatGPT, means we are living in the age where AI just a kind of revolution which is just changing each and every second. And ChatGPT changed everything. It is considered as one of the most famous tool which scaled so much in so much less amount of time. And the reason was only one thing, that now with the help of just one text, students were able to complete their assignments. We were able to like generate various emails, contents were generated. Means it was literally a disruptive move, and therefore it is the fastest moving AI in the product in the history. Means any kind of product. Earlier, internet also came, mobile also came into existence. With the help, when internet came, it was easy to get the information for us. When mobile came in existence, it was easy for everyone to communicate. But when ChatGPT came, like when AI came like this, it was easy for everyone to not only communicate or get information, but to it just changed the way of think. We can now even build on whole website, which earlier requires talented engineers. Whole websites can be built and it can be hosted. We can, like, it is doing a lot, and therefore, and even in so much less time. Earlier, during internet, it took a decade, but here in the case of AI, everything is changing every second, and it just like disrupted within days, or I can say months. So the change is like, the change is happening in so much less time, which give it so much importance. And then the Anthropic also came into existence, and it is drastically the best case that the Anthropic is founded by the OpenAI employees only. Earlier, they were the OpenAI employees, but they were not agree on some philosophy of OpenAI, so they just created their own company and started building on that. Their main aim is the constitutional AI, means they believe that the AI should follow some principles and some rules. It should not be just doing anything. So AI should be under control as per their principles, but OpenAI somewhere not ready with those philosophy, or it should not allow. Therefore, they just split it, and now we know everyone like Claude, the new like version of Claude came into existence like 4.8, Opus 4.8. So it is from Anthropic company only, and yeah, they focus on the AI first safety, Claude AI, and they focuses on the ethics and governance. So yeah. Now many persons like they don't able to differentiate between what are like what is the difference between AI, ML, and deep learning. They most of them consider all of these terms same, but the fact is all of them are different. AI is just the vast like space, and the machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, everything's come under AI. Like artificial intelligence can be any kind of intelligence, any kind of machine that mimic like a human beings, or that can work like intelligently. It can be considered as artificial intelligence. There is no requirement that if it is trained on data or not. Even if some kind of code is giving it power to work, means to do work independently, then it is the artificial intelligence. But for machine learning, data is required. Means we have to train on a good amount of data, and if we are training like on on various data, and on the basis of that we are getting the result, then it is machine learning. Deep learning is another kind of AI. Means deep learning is a subset of machine learning, but it is a multi-layered neural networks, and it is mainly inspired by the neurons present in our brain. So therefore it is like neural networks, we can say, because neurons, the word came from the neurons which are present inside the human brain. And generative AI is the part of deep learning. I just wanted to classify all these things so that everyone is familiar with this. Now, let's see how AI actually works. See, in our day-to-day life, every time we use AI, whether we are writing any kind of email, some kind of codes, or whenever we get any error in any program, even during building various applications, it is quite easy today with the help of AI. But many persons they just use AI and don't understand how it literally works. And there are various terms which are present, and they plays a vital role while building, means in the back end. Means AI is not any kind of consciousness, like if anyone thinks it is just a kind of vast system which predicts in the best way possible. Means it predicts in the best possible way. It can predict the patterns. It is just a kind of probability, and it just predicts the next probable word. So that is how AI works. This is the transformer. Mainly people think like ChatGPT is the main thing which happened, but the reality is ChatGPT is, I should say, is the second one. First one is the transformer only, which was released by Google in 2017 only in a paper of it, like attention you all need. So in that paper, the transformer was its all concept was explained, and on the basis of that, today all model which we are seeing, like Gemini, Claude, or ChatGPT, OpenAI's ChatGPT, anything which we are seeing today is just working on this transformer concepts only. I can show you this in the visualization thing also, but let's first finish this important one. So any of you know about the transformer? You can message yes. Okay, we can see. I should just notice new.
Also,
Okay,
you
let
can
me
raise the
explain.
hand. Yeah, if anyone know, they also be raise the hand or speak.
Yeah. So the ChatGPT is not the one thing, means the greatest thing which happened. Transformer is the main thing which happened, and let me explain that. So it works on this principle. I would show this diagram also. So it is query, key, and value. These are the kind of, I should say, input which is given. Query is whatever you are asking. Key is whatever you are asking is matching with the data set, means which is it is matching or not. And value is the information it is giving in the result. And the temperature, top K, top P are various parameters which we have to set as per the requirement of the model, or like if we are integrating AI solution with any financial solution, financial application, or marketing application, then it matters like the what is the value of temperature, what is the value of top K, top P. I would explain these terms in the next slides also. So before transformer came to existence in 2017. Before that, scientists means all the researchers were trying to use the RNN's concepts. In RNN, main thing happened that whenever the model reads, like whenever I should say it reads, so it reads word by word, and it have to take in the memory all the context of back everything, means it have to remember. So whenever the large amount of text came into existence, it would become difficult for them to keep track of all those context, and therefore it doesn't work with the larger sentences. Therefore earlier chat means artificial intelligence was not that much good. But when transformer concept came into existence, then it starts seeing on all the words simultaneously. Means it is not remembering all the words, it is just keeping the mathematical probabilistic. Means it is just keeping the mathematical analysis, like it is a vector database. For example, there is a room, and if a cluster, means if two words are similar to each other, or there is any kind of relationship between each other in them, then there is one they should be close in the vector database. I have to explain that in the later also. But the main part is that earlier, before the transformer, AI was not working in that much best way, because we don't have means the researchers were using the RNN's concept. So that was the main reason. Now, when transformer came into existence, so it is a kind of neural network architecture which was designed to understand the relationship between words and concepts. Means it is not just remembering all the words which is present before. It is just simultaneously looking on all the words. Like you think it as a giant pattern recognition engine that processes language in a fundamentally different way than the previous models. That was the RNN. So the main thing was that it understands the context, it learns the relationship and predicts the output. The main thing which these transformer is doing, that it is understanding the context. Means whatever we are asking, it is trying to understand its context. And then it is like generating the kind of relationships and also predicts the output. So that is the main thing which is doing inside, and it is happening on a kind of loop. Means once, twice, and it is getting trained again and again. And as ChatGPT is a vast trained data, so it got trained on a huge database. Any question till now? Okay, we can take those in. And the secret thing is the attention. Also, the name of the paper was also the attention you need. So that was the name of the paper. And it is the most important concept in the modern AI, because which word matter most right now? Means attention answers one question: which word matters more right now? The animal did not cross the road because it was tired. This is the sentence. Now it refers to what? Means earlier, if we used to ask what it refers to, as a human being, it is quite easy for us to say that it refers to, of course, the animal. But for like large language model, attention allows the AI to make similar connections. Like it should be refers to animals only. The model assigns important scores to all the word. Okay, and not all words receive the same equal attention, and important word receive the more focus. For I should say, for example, if you are present in a room of like lecture, and a lot of noises are happening, but still you are focusing on the speaker only. So at that time, you are focusing your attention on the speaker. In the similar way, when in transformer, the attention is the way which predicts which word is most likely most important. So this allows AI to understand the context, references, relationships, and dependencies. Without attention, the modern LLMs would just don't exist. In real life, I have just explained like how you can imagine attention, and attention determines the information that deserves focus. So again, we came into the fact like what is key, query, value in transformer. So when I had shown the like diagram of that transformer, like how it works, and there was a query, key, and value. Query is what information am I looking for? Means what is the question you are asking from ChatGPT. Key, who or what has the relevant information. Means from huge amount of data set which ChatGPT has, where is that information, where it can get that information. And value is what specific information should I retrieve. So from that bulk of data set, which information it is giving, that is the value. And queries, search, key, match. This is the baseline you can remember. Sorry. Queries, search with the means whatever we search, it is a query. How much data it is getting matched with our search, it is the keys, and the value it delivers, it is the information. So I hope you all understand this. If you have issue, then we can answer those questions in the last course. But during the if you see any transformer architecture explanation on YouTube or any course, you can see a query key and value have a particular amount of numerical value which get used in all the calculations happening in the transformer model, means transformer architecture. So it is the most important value. These are the most important values on which it is getting which we are getting the data from the packet. And self-attention, it is one of the most elegant idea in AI, and it says that every word examining other word, means it examines each other words which are present with it. Like who should I pay attention to, means I should say, like, if they here is the cat a word, so it itself see like with in the whole sentence which word it should give its attention to. It can give the cat sat on the map. So you have to see like which word it should give its attention, means here each word is also determining the like to which other words it have to give the attention. So that is the self attention, and it is one of the most important concept. So as I already explained regarding attention, now the one of the biggest misconceptions about ChatGPT is that people thinks it doesn't. At the core, ChatGPT predicts the next token. Means most people thinks that the ChatGPT thinks and reason and then give the answer, but it is not the fact. The fact is that the ChatGPT predicts the next token. Like for example, artificial intelligence is, and after that there is a space, means blank. Artificial intelligence is blank. Now the possible next tokens can be transforming, changing, becoming, evolving. Even each token receives the probability score, and the score of which token high, then that particular token is coming in the place of that blank. And that totally depends upon all the data trained, means how it is trained, and how much amount of probabilities is allocated to which kind of token. And this process happens again and again, and this creates the paragraph conversations, create quotes, and as well as the essays also. But it happens so quickly that it seems that the ChatGPT is giving answer, but the fact is it is just predicting the next word, and that is happening quite fast, at quite fast rate. So yeah, I have explained this. I hope this fine. Now let's understand this in detail. Like, what is temperature? As I had said earlier, it is most important for us to fix the value of temperature, temperature, top P, top K, while finalizing the model, because it varies from situation to situation. Let me explain why. So temperature controls creativity. Think of temperature as uncertainty. Like low temperature, if the temperature is low, the model becomes less creative, and if the temperature is high, the model becomes adventurous. For example, even in slide you can see, if a person asks suggest company slogan, okay, and the model has temperature 0.1, then it would predict innovation for a better future, common, expected. If temperature is 0.7, then it would predict transforming possibilities into progress, more imaginative and unique. But if we keep the temperature 1.5, then it would the output would be very where ideas learn to dream. Now it is highly novel and potentially abstract and unusual. So creativity is required in the field of marketing, when we are brainstorming ideas, or we are generating any kind of content. creative design concept. So in these fields, if we keep the temperature high, then it is great. But if we keep the temperature high in the legal documents, then it would dramatically give another kind of law which never existed, because it would add the creativity in that which was not.
Hi, Kancha, your voice is not audible.
So in that cases, in legal cases, compliance checks, financial reporting. So if we are creating it any tool, means any model for the financial, for the legal document reviews or any kind of those things, then the temperature should be always less, as creativity is not required there. But if we are creating any tool for marketing, for content generation, then the creativity can be high basis on the requirement, because creativity means temperature should be high, because high creativity can be used in that field. So I hope I have explained this, because during building the agents also, multi agents also, even not from scratch, even on a particular platform only like n8n, or in my office also we use the Fabrics platform, in which we build different types of agents. We have to define the temperature, top P, top K, and all these are done on the basis of requirement we are handling. If we need creativity like summarizations, content generation, then temperature can be high. But if we need exact same word answer, then temperature should always be less only. Then this top K sampling, this is also one feature which we have to keep in mind while defining. So it is, I should say, like I have to explain like let me explain the analogy first. Like if I have 1,000 of candidates, and I just keep the like bar 10, means I would keep top 10 candidates only for the interview, only top 10. Then it is the top K kind of sampling. For example, in data sets, if I am predicting like today is what, after today is anything, today is sunny day, today is Monday, today is Wednesday, what can become after today is. So today is in blank. To fill that blank, there are various amount of words ChatGPT have in their backend. But what should come here, it means that word means there are 100 of words. Okay, so from that there are million of words, of course, but for example, if there can be 100 of words. So from that 100 words, it just sample top 10 words. For example, if top K point is 10, so it like samples 10 words, and from that 10 words only now further operations would happen. So top K is that kind of thing which we have to define. Okay, for example, in the slide also it is given like imagine the AI predicts the following probabilities for the next word. Top K is another method, means I have just explained these things only. Means AI is innovation, future, technology. After AI is, these words can come. AI is growth, AI is transformation, AI is rocket ship, banana, AI is banana. But the probability of AI's innovation is 40%. Future is 25%. Technology is 15%. Means these three words are more likely to be correct. So it choose the first three word only because the top K value is 3. And the analogy I already explained, like there are 1,000 candidates. So in this way, top K value is defined while doing all those things in the models. Now, what is the top P value? Let me explain that with the analogy also. Like a top P value is like that. If I have 1,000 candidates, and I would say I would take the interview of those candidates who have 90% and above in their BTech or like semester, means in their results. So in this case, it is not just giving the exact number that I would take this much candidate only. It just defining the amount means percentage 90% and now the number of candidates whose 90% might be 5, might be 50. There might be 50 candidates who have 90% above marks. There might be only 5 candidates who have 90% and above marks. So now this is a kind of top P sampling. You can see here also allocate the marks like 40%, 50 means AI is. After that, what can come? Here it allocate to innovation 40%, future 30%, technology 15%. Now it do the cumulative probability. It would find the cumulative probability, and whatever it is getting 95%. Now it would choose like a top P point is 0.9%. Now it would choose the model would here only use the innovation, future technology and growth, remain the candidate pool, and the next word would not be considered. So I hope you understand that. Means it would be considered that point means those sampled amount of data only. It would not consider the other, like whole bulk, it would not consider, it would consider those values only. So this is top P. I hope everyone is understanding. Yes, I can repeat the top P also. So top P, I just explain now, like if you are just taking the candidates, top 3 candidates, the number is defined, then it is the example of top K. But if you are just sampling those candidates who have 90% and above, then there can be the probability can be there can be 5 candidates or 50 candidates. So top P works differently. Instead of selecting a fixed number of words, it selects enough words to reach a probability threshold. Means it selects all those words which are required for getting at the probability threshold. For example, as you see, innovation is 40%, future can be 30, future is getting 30% probability, word technology is getting 50%. Both is taking 10% and transformation is taking 5%. Top P value after calculation, you can see here is 95%. So here it stops. Only those words remain. Unlike top K, candidate count changes dynamically. Means it is dynamic. It is not fixed. Top K value was fixed, like 3. If they are 3%, then only 3. But in top P, it differs. It can the number of candidates having above 90% marks can be 50 or can be 5. Anything. It is dynamic. It is not a fixed value, and this often creates better output. Most time it is seen that it creates better output. So top P adapts dynamically to uncertainty, but sometimes top K is rigid. So therefore we have to define these values in such a way that it works in the best way possible. So I hope I am able to explain your top P. I have again repeated the top P. I hope it is fine. If more explanation is required, I can explain in in the end also. So yeah, these features are like the control panel in AI. Means whenever even we are building the art like agents also, not from the scratch, even in the web N8N platform or any normal agent creating platform also, knowledge based agent also, anywhere if we are creating these agents, we have to define temperature. Top K sampling, top P, prompt is the you can define the prompt templates, but of course prompt is something which need to be written from the user only, and the context is whatever data we are giving, like AI, the specific information which we are giving AI in the form of data set. So like that it is using. So these are a kind of control panel, most important things, and we have to balance the number of temperature top K and top P in the best way possible, so that it like the product of the output of the AI should be good. Otherwise it would if temperature is high, then it would give a lot creative answer which is not required, so it would create issue. Now there is, I think this is the second slide also, yeah. I just explained like it should be value once again I should explain like it should be balanced. And for example, temperature controls the creativity. Just remember, temperature controls creativity. Top K controls shortlist size, but top P controls probability coverage. And sometimes on the basis of data, top P works good and top K not that much good because it just shortlist size. Prompt control the task understanding, and the context controls the available information which the AI already have. Now let's see the next. Context windows, you can hear like it is out of context. Many times when you give a long prompt and something like after some time the ChatGPT tells it is out of context, like means it is getting out of context. So what is exactly context? Context, as the meaning suggests, it is a kind of like information which you are providing in addition to whatever AI already have. Means what you want. For that, if you provide the detailed information, it is kind of context you are giving. For example, I should say like whenever you create chat on ChatGPT, a kind of like task on side, you can see a kind of chat history created. And if you again want to ask regarding those information in that chat history only, then it would give you a great answer. But if you again start asking in another, like you create another chat, then you have to give all those information again to ChatGPT. It can't access that past context. So that is exactly what context is. And the context window is the amount of information AI can consider simultaneously. So it can consider the amount of information of that particular chat at that time, but it can't consider the information of another chat. Therefore, you should go with that chat only in which you have asked that particular question. Okay, so think it as a working memory. Okay, you may also have the working memory, LLM do have, and when context increases, then the older information may sometimes disappear, becomes compressed, and lost the influence because it goes a lot amount in size. So just AI ignore it because it can't handle that much. Therefore, it have to ignore. For example, you provide 10 page, 100 pages of reports, 50 pages policies, multiple instructions. The model must fit all this into context. If limits are exceeded, information get lost. It would take only that much information which is under limit of their context. So this is one of the way to get good answer from AI, and for that you have to be in that context range. So I am putting all this together in one, like a user give the prompt, then tokenizations happen, then embeddings happen. Embeddings is one in which we like convert text into numbers, because machine, as we all know, machine like computer understand just the binary numbers 0 and 1, but in the case of AI, it understands the numerical value. In database also, it is a kind of 3D space in which the point is located at one place. So for that point, three like values are required. Means you might remember the coordinate geometry. So for I should say for 2D space, two x and y value is required. But for the 3D space, 3 values are required. Those 3 values, I should say, is the query, key, query, and value. And the embeddings is a kind of way in which the texts are converted into numeric values. So these things comes under the I should say transformer architecture. Then the transformer layers, attention I explained, key value, key query value I explained, probability distribution is the most important thing, temperature, top K, top P, next selection, response, and response generation. How all these happens are basically with the help of these keywords only. You may listen these things while building agents also, you might listen these things, but what it is exactly is its work is I tried to explain. I gave the analogy also. I hope you all are able to understand. If any question, I can answer in, of course, in the end also. So yeah, why AI feels intelligent? Of course, it answers all your questions without any kind of notebook, and of course, you think it doesn't require any notebook or any like book. But the fact is, it has been trained on a tremendous large amount of data, so it have already read a lot of notebooks and books. So therefore, it appears intelligent, and it answers all the questions as already I have explained. But it is always not right. Sometimes it also hallucinate. And one of the biggest hidden danger in AI is hallucination only. Hallucination means the AI generates false or fabricated informations quite confidently. Means it just answers in such a way that it is right, but the fact is, it is just giving the wrong answer. As you can, I some day back I was seeing a reel on Instagram in which a person was asking like, what is the like which month is which the spelling of which month contains X, and the AI was confidently saying this month, June and July. Then that person was asking, tell me the spelling of July. Then AI told JULY. Then person told, where is X? Then then the ChatGPT told, like, sorry, this word don't contain X, but other months contain X. Matlab, instead was behaving in that way, like it was saying like, yes, one month or 2 month contains X, but the fact is there is no any month in whole like year which contains X. So sometimes it behaves like that. But there are other reasons also. Of course, some for example, models are trained, of course. Okay, so if model is trained till today's date, and 10 days after, if I ask some general knowledge related question which happened within those 10 days, then model don't have that information, but still some model behave like it have, and it just give the answer confidently. So that this is sometimes it hallucinate in this way. And AI may invent citations. It create fake references, fabricate events, and generate incorrect numbers. So all these things are done by AI also. Therefore, it is even when you generate any content or something, you should see like it is correct or not. And hallucination increases the context, mainly increases when the context is weak, retrieval is poor, prompts are vague. Means you just ask something vague question. Of course, if the data is trained till today's date, then how you are expecting that it can answer the event happened after that point of time? So you have to keep updating those things. Like if you don't have RAG implemented, I would explain that also, what RAG exactly. But yeah, this is the thing. Hallucination, it is one of the most important and most like different thing in AI. So yeah, key takeaways, like till now what we have talked, future is means we have to think about the safety and ethics in AI. AI is just the pattern recognition at large scale, and always validate, and you one should always validate AI output, because it can hallucinate and you can never know when it hallucinates. So you have to like validate whatever output AI is giving, it is correct or not. You just can't trust blindly. Okay. And these are the hidden languages of AI, like vector representation, mathematical meaning. I already said AI is just predicting the next word with the help of good amount of mathematical calculations, probabilities, and just predicting what can be the probable word is. Semantic similarity, RAG foundation. So these are the RAG I would explain in the next slides. So vector search I have already explained, but as there is, I would like to focus on one more thing. Like traditional search is like, if I wanted to search cat, then I need cat only. Means it lies on the exact keyword matching, often missing relevant results if the like precise word not present. But vector search is which can utilize the meaning matching. Means it works on the context, which means it doesn't just match the exact keyword. It focuses on the context and utilizes the meaning matching by converting content and queries into the numerical vectors. I already told embedding is just converting the text into the numerical vectors and finding the conceptually similar items. Okay. So, for example, already given in a vector search, car and vehicle are semantically related, allowing AI to understand their conceptual connection even without a direct keyword. Car and vehicle are not direct keyword, but in the vector space, these both things are together at near point. So it can understand like, yes, car is the vehicle. So I hope I can explain this vector search. And now chunking is also one of the most important concept, because even to AI, if you give a whole long amount of context, then it would be difficult for it to read. So for that, chunking is required. Most people think that AI systems simply upload documents and magically understand them. But this is not what happens. Large documents are usually too big for AI models to process efficiently all at once. So documents are split into small pieces called chunks. I think as the word chunk is that small chunks only. And those chunks are then analyzed by the models. So good chunking is not just the random text splitting. Now again, chunking is not just the random text splitting. Good chunking preserves meaning, context, semantic continuity, and retrieval quality. For example, if we split a legal contract in the middle of an important clause, the AI may retrieve incomplete information later. So this creates poor retrieval, hallucinations, incorrect answers, and broken enterprise flow. So chunking is essential. And I think I have explained. Information architecture for AI systems, chunking is extremely essential for that. And there are various types of chunking also, like characters, and these all are done on the basis of requirement. Means whatever documents we are giving, on the basis of that requirements, these things are happening. Like character text splitter, recursive character text splitter, markdown text splitter, latex text splitter, Python code text splitter. If I am getting a Python code, then of course this kind of chunking would be used. Then character text splitter chunking can't be used, because if the code of Python is split in a kind of character text splitter, then you are not able to get the context, and AI would give the wrong answer, because that kind of chunking is not good for that coding solution. So I hope I have explained these types of chunking and why it is important to do different type of chunkings for different requirements. If you have any questions, you can keep, or you can send me in chat also. I'm seeing, but as of now, there is no any question. So I think everything is clear till now. These are just different types of chunking. You can also search about it when, like with ChatGPT or Google, it can get all the details. Okay. Now RAG is the most amazing concept in, like, because as I had told earlier, if a data is trained on a particular amount of time, then how it can how AI can get the information from outside. Means RAG is important for grounding. It is a powerful technique that enhances AI models by combining their inherent generative capabilities with the internal factual knowledge. It allows AI to access the up-to-date domain-specific information and moving beyond its initial training data. Okay, without RAG, the AI relies solely on its pre-trained internal memory. Okay, it don't have the access to the outer external world data, which can be outdated. Means internal memory can be outdated after a particular amount of time or incomplete, leading to potential inaccuracies and hallucinations. But with RAG, the AI first retrieves relevant external knowledge from the designated data source and then uses these information to formulate or answer informed responses. It is also helpful in the organizations. For example, if I have to see in my organizations which employees productivity is good and whose productivity is not that much good, I am able to access all those details using the Jira stories they are logged in. If you all are, if any of you or most of them, I hope you are working professionals, so you know about the Jira stories. So those Jira stories facts are coming from the Jiras assigned to the employees. It is not already trained model. It is not present in the data sets which is already trained by the model. So we can connect that data, means Jira data, to the model which we have trained for our organization, and with the help of that Jira data, now model can predict which employee have good amount of productivity, which is bad, and in this way it is useful in getting the productivity in the company. So I had just given the example. It reduces the hallucination. It is enterprise knowledge integration. I just told you the example of this only, and it just increases the accuracy and relevance. And retrieval types can be lexical, vector, hybrid. These are the main types of search. And lexical search is the traditional one only. Vector search I already explained, which is the power of embeddings when text are converted into the numbers. And the most advanced approach is the hybrid search that combines the strength of both lexical and vector search. So these are the main things you can search. And now the main another important concept is the ranking also. So when the documents is get chunks are created in the documents, now we have to rank which part of chunk is more important for that particular query which is asked by the user. So that thing, for example, rank for example, like rank as the word suggests, person we used to get rank in our school days, first, second, third. So in the same way, the chunks are ranked. Most relevant chunk got the first, second relevant second. And in this way, when the information is retrieved, the first ranked chunk is considered and the information is retrieved from that particular chunk only. And AI don't have to see have to read a whole document, whole chunks, because it would take a long time. So in this way, chunking is great work for in the field of AI. Now, prompt engineering, everyone knows whenever you are asking anything with the AI, it is prompt engineering only. Prompting only, actually. Prompt engineering is asking good question. And for asking good question, if I just say, build a web application for me, what it would understand, like what I am asking. But if I would get the prompt, act as a senior executive software engineer, and work on and build a resume generator using the Python Django in the backend, and Django, Python Django in backend mainly, and in front end use the most recent tool. So if I would give those detailed prompt, then of course it would give me the generated website of resume generator in the best way possible. But if I just say just build a website, then how it would understand which kind of website I am wanting and which kind of tech stack I need. So that is prompt engineering. It is another good field. And of course now AI agents is everywhere. In agents you have to, agent can reason, plan, use tools, access memory, and execute all the tasks. So AI agent, today we are in our offices also, we are building multi-agents. And in multi-agents, there is a developer agent, the QA agent, project manager agent, and the tasks are assigned on the basis of their roles. Developer can develop, and those agents are getting tested by the QA agents. And then the QA agents submit the applications to the project manager agent. So these things are happening. The roles which were earlier assigned to humans are now converted in the form of agents, and they are doing work in the great way. The agents architecture, it is another a great topic. But there is A2A, agent to agent communication, which 2-3 agents like developer agent or QA agents, they talk to each other. There is a data layer, embedding layer, retrieval layer, LLM layer, tool layer, orchestration layer, how they are orchestrated in a application. So it is like that. I just tried to add all the important concepts which are present in the AI. And of course, this is the data ingestion you can upload in the form of upload files, metadata. Of course, the dot markdown file is great for the data extraction. JSON format is great. YML file is more, in comparison to JSON, YML file is more great when you are uploading data for the knowledge-based agent or anything, as I've used those in Office also. Embedding configuration, I have already explained the embedding, what is embedding, but it is also configured, and these things are kept in mind while configuring these embeddings. Data set synchronizations, which kind of data you have uploaded, content formatting, chunk size, what should be the size of chunk, overlap size, prefix and suffix context. So these all are defined during building agent also. Now synonym sets like word normalizations, this improves the search flexibility and enterprise terminology mapping. So these are the extended concepts of those like machine learning models only. And this is the evaluation matrices, like what is the precision of the model, whatever model you train on the in machine learning. These are the matrices: precision, recall, F1 score, mean reciprocal rank, mean average precision. These things are defined, and if all these scores are great, then the machine learning model is considered trained to be in the best way. Now, why explainable AI is required. So whenever AI give any kind of answer, we should understand why it is giving that answer. Because if we don't understand the many reason behind that, how AI is working, how means if we can't explain AI in the backend, then it is quite difficult to add these in the banking, healthcare, insurance, and legal systems. So explainable AI is a great field of research, and as of now, a good amount of research is happening in this field, so that we can understand why AI is giving that particular answer on asking any question. For example, in a banking system, if AI rejects any particular candidate for any insurance thing or something, then it should have the answer why it have rejected. Otherwise it is difficult. Like if you can't give why you have rejected that particular person, then it is really difficult to integrate those AI in the banking application. So it is a field of like research, and it is happening now. Like everyone is working on this field, and it is most important as of now. And of course, AI is biased also, because at the end, all these ChatGPT and everything is trained on a particular data set of data only. And as we all know, data is like present from the past only. Means data is created due to the internet, but it is created by human beings only. So if human beings are biases, then the data is biased, and if data is biased, then AI can be biased. And these leads to means bias in AI happens due to the training data is biased, representation biased, historical bias, and decision bias. Even during ChatGPT, if you ask some questions related to higher studies, or try to build any picture of higher studies, it mostly means I just tried that, build the picture of a student like learning in the higher studies. It generally builds the photo of a male candidate only. It is still not build the photo of the female candidate, and that is also because it is trained on that data, because the higher studies are mainly done by the male from the past time. It means females were not even allowed to like study so much. So that is why it is giving the images of male only in the photo also, because it is trained on that data. So that is means because it is trained on that data, so can't be done anything, because everyone knows this, it is fine. But now on, when training is happening, so everyone should keep in mind that it should not be trained on a biased data, otherwise it would give results like that only. Now I would like to show you the practical demo, so that this practical demo is here. It is a kind of teachable machine, and here you can upload all the data. For means it is a quite simple setup, but with this setup I can explain like how data is uploaded and how training of model happened and how we can use those trained model generated model in our code also, as time is quite less also now. So let me upload simple data. I had kept some data like downloads, I should see. For example, this is mobile folder and it contains all the mobile photos. Okay. So I need to open that, and I am feeding all the mobile photos here and keep the name of class. This is class as mobile. Now for the second class, let me keep it as laptop. Yeah, I have trained means as for I am giving here just a simple example. Therefore, I am using these simple mobile and laptop data. But when I used to work on various projects, then there are various data sets, and we have to train those using various like good amount of data. So, but if I would give a large amount of data, then of course while training it would take a lot time to get trained. Therefore, I'm just for sake of example, I'm just clicking on just training data on these two classes, laptop and mobile. Now it would just take few seconds because here the amount of data is quite less. So the training would happen. As the amount was less. Here I can also open the webcam and try to show the photo of a laptop. Then it would give me the then it would give me the output laptop, and I would show the photo of mobile. Then it would give me the mobile because it is trained on the laptop and mobile data. I can export code from here also. If you are using means if you are building any kind of application for the browsers or a JavaScript kind of application, then you should download this code, TensorFlow.js. As it works for, as it is written here also, it works for the browser-based project. If you are working on any Python-based project, then you should use this code. Okay, and if you are working for on any kind of mobile kind of things, like TensorFlow Lite models works on the mobile or edge TPU, as you can see. So I think you all are from the mobile kind of hackathon, so you can like train your models with the data if you require for a particular enhancement or requirement, and you can just download you can use this model, and this would give you the way you can download it. For I generally work in Python, so I had used this code in my one of the programs. So I have just used this code. As of now, I just build the mobile and laptop things, but many times in the applications, a large amount of data is trained, and during that, I need to train it on a good amount of data. Means for that, it would take a lot time also. But for this session purpose, I just used mobile and laptop one. So yeah, in this way you can also use this model in your projects. I have explained this one is for browser based, this one is for Python, and this one is for laptop. Sorry, mobile, any kind of light, because it is a kind of lightweight, so it can be used for the mobile. And yeah, so this was the main like way in which you can train and create your own model. You can create means you can train models using your own data sets. Means if you require only a model which should be trained on a limited amount of data only, then you don't need to use a large amount of model. You can just train your model and download these codes and use in your application. It is quite great. And for transformer, let me show you this. I just wanted to use so this. This is the transformer query value, key value. These are kind of the coordinates in the vector database. And here from this part, I can adjust the temperature value. You can see if I have kept the temperature 10, it is giving like this much proportion. With for sampling top K, if the values are increasing, it is giving like that. But it is quite bad. I should not keep like that. Temperature should be like 1.3, 1.5, yeah, like this. If it is 0.5, it is 100% correct, like 100% same. But as soon as I am increasing temperature, the creativity is increasing. So like that, you can see the numbers are increasing here. This is the great way to visualize how transformer architecture work, and how means what it is exactly. As you increases the temperature, its creativity increase. Okay, data visualizing power series. Okay, and sampling top K. There are two kinds: top K sampling, top P sampling. It is top K is static, top P is like dynamic. So yeah, on increasing this also you can see how it is varying. There is another explanation also. There is one. So you want. So this site also great for like how seeing how data means how deep learning in backend work means. If we see something visualizing now, then it is quite easy for us also to learn or to understand. For example, if I keep the data, if my data is like this is a kind of points in the vector space. As it is two-dimensional, our laptop is two-dimensional, so it appears as if it is two-dimensional, but in reality it is 3D. And let me for visualization, let me first refresh. Actually, there are so much output. Yeah, now see how it is getting trained. Means where there are blue data, those informations which are asked related to these blue data are getting concentrated near them, and those data which are like, I should say orange, it is getting concentrated near the orange one. I can say change the data set, and also you can see how it is changing. You always see the means there are two data sets, first, second, and how it is acting like that. Time it just gets more and more concentrated. Or I say this, let me play. So it would with the help of these like websites, we can visualize how it is working, like how the questions are getting asked and how the answers are getting prepared in the vector database, because it is 3D. So yeah. So let's back to the PPT. I have where it's so yeah, the future of AI, of course, is AI agents, autonomous systems, AI co-pilots, multi-agent collaborations, which is already happening in many places. Personalized AI and robotics, of course, so that AI can cook food for us and wash clothes also. So yeah. Skill means skills that are going to matter a lot is AI literacy. Of course, now every job role require AI, whether you are a Python developer, Java developer, everyone is asking if you can integrate AI above the existing solution or not. So AI is just everywhere. Prompt engineering means prompt engineering is not just asking questions with AI, means it is asking the precise question in the best way possible, so that the less tokens are used and you are getting the exact answers which you are requiring, means which you are required. And data thinking, AI governance, means how AI should be ethically correct always, system design and critical thinking. So all these fields are like requiring AI only, and yeah, these have the bright future. So final takeaway, like AI is of course not a magic. AI is basically data plus mathematics plus pattern. And of course, a good AI engineer must know what is means mathematics. Of course, probability. During my school days, I don't like probability that much. But now when I see the use of probability, I think how much I should have liked probability back then also. But now I like, because it plays a vital role in this era. Like it just predicts what is the next word is, and the whole like everything is working. Better data creates better AI. Of course, there should not be any biases. AI systems require a human oversight, and understanding AI is becoming extremely essential because every role everywhere it is requiring AI. Like even you are QA manager, not technical person, even a tester, it is required. Even a project manager, even a QM manager, everyone is like, even if you don't know what exactly AI is, but you should have like knowledge of using AI above the existing solution. Means you should know the integration part. So that is the most important thing as of now. So, and one more great thing is also like many jobs are for freshers. Jobs are literally a lot less, and many things. Yeah, of course, the fresher level of job is done by AI. So yes, the job is quite less, but still after doing those works, it requires the review. Means it can't go into production. Means codes can't go into production without the human intervene or human review. So yeah, AI will not replace human, but yeah, human using AI will replace the humans who don't use. So yeah, I conclude this session. I had created one Google Code Labs also for that, like teachable machine, and for I have added those codes also, and the slides of these PPT. All everything is added in these Google Code Labs. So if you want, you can scan this, and if you want to connect, then you can scan these. So yeah,
Akanksha, you can share that the link also in the chat group.
acha for Code Labs, okay,
Yes.
but
So that,
I okay in chat groups only.
yes, yes. Thank you
Then
for
if you can share.
the sessions. These are the amazing sessions for the everyone that will learn many more these sessions. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So
It is on
you
my
can
keyboard
stop
only.
the screen slide.
Okay.
So you can say that. So that will be the this session will be helpful for all of you who have joined that sessions. Okay. So tomorrow is the very important session also. So I will be sharing that session on device AI with the using the Malang. Okay. That will be also be the very good sessions tomorrow for that. Okay. So that will be the tomorrow sessions built on device AI apps with Malang that will be used on the Android or iOS or Flutter or React Native, all platform available. So tomorrow is a very good event, and today is the tomorrow is the 6:30 p.m. for the date. Okay, so that will be also be you can join that and you learn the most of the things because they not using the many developers on the on device. They have using the Gemma and all other things, but this is the different for the all the things on the on device AI. So you can join tomorrow sessions. So that you will learn with the very uh, different things in the mobile development. Okay. So that platform they have a co-founder of the Jetic company. The Jetic company will develop the Melang. They also be part of the community collaboration with the AI Mobile Hackathon, Malang and Jetic. So they also will learn from the many things in that tomorrow sessions. So please join the tomorrow and thank you for the joining today sessions and that will be also be helpful to your careers and all the things. Please follow the AI Mobile Hackathon and join the hackathon community. And they also will join the mobile coders community. And if you have a uh, in the Noida locations, the 14th June is the offline events. They're happening on the 14th June, the offline event in the Noida 100x schools of venue. So they also be the AI mobile coders. They also the all the sessions will be focused on the AI related. So they have a practical session. They are also for the roadmap of the AI in the mobile developers. So all the things they have happening on the offline meetup, they help be also be build their network also they all the developers will the AI mobile developer like all the have a mobile developers community. So that will be also be good opportunity to you join if you have a living in the Delhi NCR. So you can definitely you can come with the join with the offline event. That will be an amazing event. So you can learn the lots of things in this event in the offline because online will be going on that last 3 months. Okay, but offline will be also be attending, so you can learn the many much more these things. Thank you for the joining the session. In your, if any friends you're in the Noida locations or anything in the Delhi NCR location, so you can also be the suggest to join the this event. So I will share that events link, so you can join that. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for the joining the sessions. Okay. So I will share that link. You also be the share that to friends. They will be living on the Delhi NCR's location, so they will be join that sessions. Okay. The 14th June, morning 9 o'clock to 2 p.m. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for the all of you join today's sessions.